just like to say that for the record, it's Jeffrey's fault.
Hey, good evening. If you're watching live, welcome to episode 196 of About the Cards podcast, live tonight on YouTube. As always, with host Stefan Loeffler at Junkwax Twins.
Hey, that's me.
It is. Myself, Ben Wilson, at Our Trading Cards. We're a podcast.
That's not me.
Well, it's not you, but it is me. So we're both here. We're a podcast by collectors for collectors. We hope to bring you a smart and insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. All cards tell a story. What stories do your cards tell? Cards tell the story, stories tell the cards. So we're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific.
10 Central.
On the YouTube. You can follow us on the Twitter and the Instagram at About the Cards. We're available as a pod. Everywhere you can find a podcast. No announcements tonight. We've got Jeffrey Szelzki at Szelzki that's 2
Szelzki.
Z's, 4 Q's, 3 Y's, 1 S, an I, an L in there somewhere. Basically, it's just a mixture of all of the letters that Scrabble hates.
What's up?
So he got knighted today at Burger King. If you're watching live, he is wearing a Burger King hat. He is now a big boy.
I had brisket and sausage with Ryan Cracknell.
They let him play on the playground. Remember in the old days when McDonald's used to sell socks to go on the playground, like $1.99, so your kids didn't, get their nasty everywhere?
See, but Ben, he's like 3 feet taller than you.
Yeah.
Which, I know everyone is, but...
Where I lose in height, I make up for in IQ, so...
Oh, okay. This is... Okay, go. Keep going.
Yeah. Hey, I would rock one of those. I just don't go to Burger King, so...
Howdy, Mark.
So yeah, we're gonna kind of just... We've got some topics tonight we want to get to, so...
Jakey Poo.
Since Jeff's been with us more than once, we're not going to do a whole bunch at the top of the show. We're going to kind of leave it for the hobby talk section.
I will ask, though, do the boxes behind you ever move?
These ones do. Not those ones. Those are just let them increase in value. They're good investments.
That moment of silence was my way of, that's basically right before the eulogy happens for Jeff. Hey, they're everything.
That's one for those betting at home. Ian,
everything's an investment. Screw it. Just everything's an investment now. No, so we do want to just kind of preface one topic in Hobby Talk. We'll be a little bit more sensitive and delicate. So if we do have younger ears, if they're not familiar what happened with the world's largest break heard around the world, we will try to be sensitive, not knowing who all is listening, but that topic, what we get into will be a little bit more delicate. If the younger ears.
If you're referring to Blaise without a t-shirt, I look a lot better than Blaise. Thank you, Ben.
Well, we can charge for the after show and see if that's really true. So let's hop into listener mail days.
It is kind of funny that you mentioned charging for before show, after show. Can I play the video, Ben?
Please.
What the hell? Go for it.
2 seconds.
If you're listening to our show, you're definitely going to want to hop on to the YouTube. Jeff wanted me to do a dance for him. He said that was exciting, and I did one, and then Steph lied to me and said he didn't record it when I did it a second time for Jeff's viewing pleasure. So if you are listening and you don't typically watch, and you might want to hop on and watch this on the YouTube, and you see Ben's awesome dancing skills. And go, Steph.
I'm trying to get it to play right. Go ahead, show your mail day.
All right. Just a couple quick shout outs. I want to thank Andrew Renault, who's been on our show a lot, for all of the heritage. He gave me the team set and a couple of, an insert and Hotbox Olsen. Steph and I were talking before the show. We were just kind of, they do have black backs from 1973, and there are a lot of chipping on these. Nothing Andrew did wrong. It's just the black borders are a little rough on most all of these, which would have been indicative of what 73 really did look like. And of course, 71 had it on the front. So I'm assuming this is probably pretty consistent and not isolated to the boxes in the case that Andrew got. Just the black is, probably the card stock as well that they used. And I also want to throw a shout out real quick to Matt McNeil. He gave me a bunch of cool A's stuff, including a blue numbered out of 150. I think that's class 2 on the blue, I believe, and a bunch of other pretty cool stuff. I haven't had a chance to go through it all quite yet. So I appreciate that from Matt. I appreciate Andrew sending me the heritage.
I too as well got a surprise package from Andrew, including a Buxton number 373.
Where are my mail days? Why don't people send Cale McCars my way?
Because nobody wants to send you Cale McCars. And 2, the video is corrupted, which, surprise, surprise. So you're just going to have to imagine Ben doing the truffle shuffle, and that's pretty accurate.
Fully clothed, though. But once you get going, it's hard to stop when you're a bigger guy. So we also had one, Steph, if you can get the one from Christopher Schultz up. Yep. He shared with us a pretty snazzy mail day, and we want to show that as well. Chris has been a long-time listener, supporter of the show, and he always has some fun stuff as well.
Share screen. Boop-a-doop. Mail Age got the 2021 Topps VIP 70th anniversary JT Brubaker card and a replacement green ice card. I'm now up to a 25 card rainbow.
Nice. Look at that. Those green ice are sharp. I know we were all kind of bitching about it.
All the ice are real nice.
Yeah.
This is 2021 Topps. Oh my God, how many variations? Why not 100?
There's a lot. Well, they made so much last year that they had to add the green ice out of $4.99, the orange out of $2.99, and the red out of $1.99. Because they had so much base, they literally created 3 new inserts. That's ridiculous. It shows how much they overproduced. I'm honestly surprised we didn't see one for 2022 because we know the numbers went up because the pack odds went down. Or up, however you want to look at it. They were hard, the gold numbers out of 2022 are harder to pull this year. So it'll be interesting to see once Fanatics takes over full time. People are saying, oh, this stuff's going to be printed year round and available year round. So if that is in fact the case, oh boy. But yeah, hey, thanks, Chris. We appreciate you sharing. That is an awesome PC. Love seeing rainbows. There's nothing like seeing, especially when they're extensive. When you get into like the 20+ card rainbows, that's not only dedication, but they're fun to look at, all the different colors. Even though we complain about it, we are out here still chasing them. So thank you, Chris. Please feel free to share about the cards your recent awesome mail days. They got to be awesome too, because that's what the show notes say. Pulls, you can tag at About the Cards on Twitter. You can always give us a 60-second or under video. Make sure it's not corrupted. Be better than Steph.
I can record it again. Back up.
No, we're not doing this live on air. Maybe for episode 200. Maybe. Okay. We also do have a special guest that night. That's coming up in 4 weeks. So let's get into the week that was. We had Topps Living Week 211. Card 503, Josiah Gray, rookie card pitcher for the Nationals, and card 504, Dale Murphy, outfielder for the Braves. And then the only real major release was 2021 Panini Prism UFC, which dropped on the 25th last week.
Whoa. Okay, last week. Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, and then hot off the press, new releases. Topps Living dropped today, week 212. Card 505, Jarren Duran, rookie card outfielder for the Red Sox. And card 506, Razel Iglesias, pitcher for the Angels by Jared Kelly, who's coming on, I think, in 2 weeks or next week?
Something to that effect.
Something. He's coming up.
I hope that Topps can produce and have distributed a certain Topps Living card by then. But if not, maybe we'll spoil it. Maybe we won't.
I'm sure they'll be. I'm sure it'll be far enough along in the process that if you have to, you can spoil it. Topps Living Star Wars is approaching card 300. It'll be interesting to see what they do for card 300. That'll be out in 2 weeks. They dropped yesterday. We had card 295, O'Mara, Star Wars The Mandalorian. Card 296, Lovey, Star Wars The Last Jedi. So we got another 2 weeks. I can't believe Star Wars Living is already up to card 300. That's incredible. It's been going on that long.
Well, so it's funny. Like I said, just a few minutes ago, we shot and we went up all the way up past Rich even to get some barbecue with Cracknell. And apparently, as he stopped in at the home office there for Beckett, they had about 50 or so Topps Living packages for him. Mm-hmm. So he has all of the set on hand now anyway. That he had some fun opening his packages.
When you say the whole set, you're talking about he's got the master set?
He had a huge run of it, yeah. I think he picked up from 75 to 125, 75 to 150, something to that effect.
Nice. That's awesome. I would really love to know how many master sets of both Living Baseball and Living Star Wars exist. It would be fantastic to have those numbers to know. So I know a lot of people.
He said that he'd missed one or two early on, but picked him off ComC and a couple other places. So,
yeah, and that'd be the next question. I'd want to know if you're buying the whole set. Did you start week one, or did you go back and fill in, and then just continue it in perpetuity? It'd be fun to know what those numbers really look like. And then, of course, the next question would be, if you're doing either of those, are you planning on selling them at some point, or are you actually collecting them?
Well, that was fun.
My dad's been doing Star Wars Living since the beginning, and he's keeping it. He hasn't decided how he's going to organize them yet, if he's going to do them in order or by movie, separate the cartoon characters,
I think I would have to go by movie. That would make the most sense. Movie and or series.
Yeah. Be the most fun. Because, you're going to put this Lovey in with stuff from the first trilogy. It doesn't really fit. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Matt told me from the chat, gotta love ComC, right?
Yeah.
The photo on eBay for sure.
There's no right way. If you're out there listening and you're collecting either Living or Living Star Wars, let us know. We would love to know kind of how you're organizing it in your binder, assuming you are putting them in binders, if you're doing them in numerical order, if you're separating by American League, National League, if you're separating them by, Hall of Famers and retired veterans versus current players. Then what do you do when Pujols and Ichiro and all those guys, retire? And
so here's one for you regarding Pujols. I'm doing a segment for our marketing department. We're in two of mine anyway, where I feature a vintage card that's recently been uploaded and a player spotlight, somebody that's in the news or a huge trade or has had a series of good games this week, and it gets posted as a marketing post. And I made the joke, if I do Pujols, do I have to do them as
marketing,
or do I have to do it as a player spotlight? Pujols has been playing since the turn of the century.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
trolling. It looks like everybody from work showed up today.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how people organize things, because again, there's no right or wrong way in anything, and it doesn't mean you can't pivot. My dad's in the chat say he's probably going to do it by movie, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't get to a point where someday you take them all out of your sleeves and say, hey, you know what, now they're going numerical. But it is interesting. So if you're out there collecting either of the Livings, let's go ahead and let us know. Somebody who's from Kansas. I'm pretty sure we know who that Jack Boo is. Probably a former member of said podcast. Wants to know what we're investing in nowadays. 2016 vintage cards.
No, that's one of my employees.
Okay. Well, we were supposed to have another troll that rhymes with Repler, so who also has Kansas ties. So,
Joy.
yeah. So Throwback Thursday is going to start brand new with their next iteration tomorrow. Set number 12 came out last week and runs through tomorrow morning. It's the fourth and final run of the 72-73 basketball design. Card 34, Alec Baum. 35, Derek Jeter with the short print. And 36, Gary Sheffield, which is a Marlins card for those that collect Sheffield. It is interesting. Matt Major at Cardboard Stats. We've mentioned a couple of times they were doing, what they were doing is like a veteran, a rookie, and a retired player. Most of this year, if not all of it, I'd have to go back and look. And that was kind of a nice blend for us to see. A couple of weeks they were just doing current players, maybe a mixture of rookies and veterans, but they were all current players. And then this week, after we complained about it on this show twice, I believe it was, now they go with 2 veterans, maybe to make up. So maybe somebody at top.
I mean, 3, but it only in that he's not a rookie.
Yeah, so maybe they're listening. Hey, good for you. It's nice to see some representation.
Thanks, Tom.
If you are listening, hey, Walter Johnson needs to be more represented in this hobby. He's completely.
I would absolutely love, speaking of Kansas, to see more Walter Johnson cards.
So, couple major releases, not very many this week. If you want to call these major releases, we have 2022 Topps Inception dropped today, $190 a box. 1 pack, 7 cards. You're going to get an auto or auto relic, 2 base parallels.
Wait, let me speak on this product, okay? Please, just save your money. I've seen so much of this opened, and you're going to get dummied harder than Chris Rock got dummied by Will Smith, okay? Please. Next product.
You're only going to get per case. I don't know how many boxes are in a case, if it's 12.
I think it's more. They're tiny.
But you're only going to get 4 autos. This is a per case. 4 autos, 1 silver signing auto, and 1 auto jumbo patch. So, yeah, Inception has always had a really, really bad, net return value. Always.
And
really
may
hard.
I state that the 1/1 jumbo Wander Franco auto has already been pulled. So the biggest card in the set has already been pulled. So all that's left is who knows? Who knows what's after that?
It does make it tough when you have first day. People still haven't. I mean, I don't even know if LCSs have this on their shelves yet. You go into an LCS and see a box already knowing you've got no chance at the 1/1. And that's not the only reason. The 1/1 Wander is not the only reason to buy this product. But
I assume you're chasing Wanders regardless, right? Like Wander is the hit. But 190 per, just buy the card.
Obviously you're collecting the sock relics.
So yeah, Inception's always had really bad return against your price. I mean, again, yeah, just this is definitely a product. Let somebody else open it and buy what you want. Save your money for that. I mean, there's plenty of products where you open it yourself and enjoy the rip. Inception's not really that.
Well, and see, unlike the previously covered Immaculate Collection, at least these can actually feature the team logo.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. Steph had shown a couple in our private group chat that even went further than the ones we had showed. That Immaculate had a lot. Maybe it's okay because it's bought aftermarket, perhaps. But yeah, on that card, you're seeing the TC. There was one on the Rockies, which was basically the entire logo.
Did they wash these socks before they make the cards?
No. If it's game worn, I want it game worn.
Are they game worn? They're probably not even game worn. They're player worn.
Well, let's just see. Enclosed player used materials guaranteed by Panini America.
So we also have a hockey release we mentioned last week, 2020-2021. Yes, 20/21. Upper Deck Premier Hockey dropped today as well. It's coming at you around $509.95 a box. I pulled that price from David Adams. It's already sold out through Blowout. You're going to get 1 pack, 6 cards. You're going to get 3 autos and or mem, 1 acetate auto patch, You'll get one numbered rookie and one numbered veteran base.
Okay, let me speak on this.
I like that patch. Just getting that out.
I love Upper Deck. Don't get me wrong. Great company, but Jesus, did they get greedy? And obviously, like Stefan said, you're seeing the player that you're going after. It's Kirill Kaprizov. It's Lafreniere. But Jesus, at $500 per box, this is like worse than Topps Inception, but triple the price.
Okay, those mega jersey trios are pretty cool.
No, yeah, sure, that's worth $100, and that's a hit of the box.
It's 3 different Avalanche players, a good 1/2 inch by 2 inch relic of each.
Stefan.
Nice.
They're gorgeous cards, but what at the price point of $500, you're getting 6 cards.
Like save, like if like again, I love Upper Deck. I'd rather buy 3 Topps Inceptions boxes at this point.
I mean, you got to come in at $85 a card on average. If you hit one of the big boys, fantastic. You're getting your money back and then some, right? But again, when you're literally gambling with one box of anything, odds of you hitting something and getting your money back, assuming not even if you're collecting, we've said this before, you want to at least feel like you didn't get ripped off by the company, and where you put on the value of the rip itself. For me, I've always argued that if you're buying $100 box, $50 of that has to be in the thrill of opening it, the unknown, that gamble, the adrenaline. But you should get about $50 worth of cards, and then, maybe some other people would expect more. Some aren't expecting even 50%. But, if you're opening something at $600 or $500 a box, I mean, you're going to get $250 out. And is that enough to feel
this is like halfway to the cup. Just save your money and buy a cup. It's going to obviously be more this year, especially. But like Upper Deck is so far behind in releasing their products that at some point you're going to find a much more reasonable costed product soon, probably within the next month or two, whether it be in Team Canada, SP Game, SP CHL Game Used, whatever it may be. Just Premier, like because there's such a wide discrepancy in releases right now. They realized like they haven't released a high-end product in a while, so they're going to like double the price because this was not $500 last year. And yes, there is like good players, but they're all like they're consistent every year. Like 2 years from now, if this is the kind of future of hockey cards, Premier is going to be like $1,500 a box if Connor Bedard's in it, which is going to be absurd.
And don't get us wrong, as we're speaking negatively, I mean. It's a gorgeous product. It is absolutely, and Inception is as well. The aforementioned Inception is really nice. Don't get us wrong. It's just if you're spending that kind of money at retail, your odds are you're not going to get your money back unless you get lucky and hit one of the big ones. And they're good looking cards. Just the price point is too rich for the return. Unless you're buying a case, but even then that's a severe gamble. But luck's going to favor the people opening this stuff up in volume. I mean, these are really breaker products. That's what they are. The last major release that's coming out this week, talk about a silly price point. 2021 Panini Clearly Donruss football drops Friday, April 1st. And this is not April Fool's. The price point is $350 a box. You're going to get 20 cards. There'll be 4 packs, 5 cards in each pack. The pack odds suggest 1 auto, 1 insert, 2 parallels, 8 rated rookies, 8 base.
At $400 a box, do you really need an insert?
8 base, 1 insert, 8 rated rookies, 2 parallels, and a stinking auto. This is Donruss, dude. Come on. This is a $99 box. Stop. It's ridiculous. $350 for what?
Box.
This is Donruss. I don't care if it's a whatever Clearly Donruss is. I don't care.
The base cards are acetate.
Whatever. This is ridiculous. I mean, some of the pricing can be justified by the release and
that's like this stuff.
This is Donruss. Come on.
Yeah. those.
Your base cards are gonna have to be worth $20 each in order to justify this box.
I bought these for like $1 each. 1 year after its release, it's good value.
And that's the thing is, this is something that if you're collecting a certain player or a certain team, put this on your list. If you can catch them on the people are going to take a bath on this and look to offload this stuff on the secondary market. Just what a ridiculous price point. I can't believe people would pay those prices. It's got to be for people that are
It's for breakers.
but even still, I mean, I don't think people are going to. The team prices on this are going to have to be ludicrous in order to justify the overall cost to the breaker.
And if I can add, you forgot 2022 Panini Prism UFC that are going for like $850 a box with like 2 autographs. You want to talk? I don't know if it in terms of ROI, return on investment. Obviously, there's some huge hits. You get colored parallels in every box, whatever. It might be even a better value than some of these boxes we spoke about. But that was a massive product that obviously dropped because UFC is definitely gaining credibility, similar to like F1.
Yeah, so also releasing this week, 2022 Topps Now Major League Baseball Network Top 100. It appears it's going to be 5 waves, $25 each. It did come out yesterday. It's going to be available for 1 week, and then they'll drop the next wave. So the first 20 cards, 81 through 100, are available now. It appears like it ships in 4 months after the expiration date. It was something like 112 to 120 days afterward. Like, seriously? I mean, there's no reason for it to wait that long. This thing I should have any of these cards in my possession in 2 or 3 weeks after next week once they expire. By the end of April. You're telling me I'm gonna have to wait till August for this crap?
I feel like this is going to become the norm. They're just going to print out so much stuff that they have to kind of they're going to get backlogged on printing, and they're just going to push out the receiving date.
This is going to kill pre-sellers because people are going to buy this stuff in bulk because people. I don't think there's going to be a whole bunch of people collecting the entire 100 card run for their personal collection. A lot of people are going to buy this stuff to offload just certain players. It's going to be the top 100 players, so everybody's going to be a star. Even though the guys on the back end of the checklist are still going to be big name players, and people are going to want to pick off their favorite players and their favorite teams. I'm going to grab any of the Oakland A's that are on the checklist. Probably, there's already Matt Chapman, so unfortunately in Toronto's uniform, so I don't know that any A's are going to make it. But if I'm going to have to wait 4 months, that's going to create a lot of issues on eBay. Still don't know if the Migo dolls that were released last summer have streaked.
I was talking about those as an extension of another product, and we were wondering at dinner whether that's not why Big League hasn't been released, because of the action figures that are supposed to come with the hobby boxes.
What do you mean
action figures?
Yeah, the Big League comes with a little opposable figure.
What are you talking about? All right, let's move on. Also coming out is 2021-2022 Topps Overtime Elite Basketball, which dropped today. That appears to be an online release as well through Topps. All scheduled release dates are subject to change, but we're current as of around 9 a.m. Pacific this morning. You can check out Ryan Cracknell's articles on Beckett.com/news for more details on these releases.
If I can speak quickly on OTE, I think that's actually a good product. It's obviously Topps Chrome. For those who aren't familiar with OTE, it's kind of like NBA's G League. It's kind of like hockey's like OHL, in which these kids are incredibly talented. They are going to be drafted in the NBA next year, the year after. It seems like they're going for about $250. Just imagine like what Topps Chrome NBA would go for, probably like triple that price. And it seems like this does look like it's a decent value in comparison to like what we've touched on today. But yeah, OTE and Overtime as a whole, there's a lot of eyes on these kids at the moment.
So to further clarify, for 2021 Topps Big League hobby collector boxes, smaller than hobby boxes as far as pack go, there are just 5 compared to the regular hobby's 18. However, the smaller number of baseball cards is made up with an action figure.
Why
Second
not?
year in the row, Topps is partnering with Super 7 for this. A total of 10 figures are available.
Why not just pull that out of it altogether if you weren't going to be able to get them made?
Maybe that with advertising they wanted to push it. I don't know. This is just an idea we're kicking around. It would explain why. Has anyone seen into the Amigo figures?
No, and I was curious because my dad ended up not
Big league.
Not buying whatever his name is, George Taylor or something from Planet of the Apes, which was the first release with Zira, and she was done in the original Mego line. And so we were curious what they were going to look like, but they were close to $30 if you're just going to buy one after you get the whole shipping and tax and everything. And he's like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't need it that bad." And kind of like, I'm kind of kicking myself. Maybe I should have bought it. But yeah, people were pre-selling this stuff, and you can only wait 30 days or something like that to get your money back on eBay as a buyer. So if I buy it on January 1st, by February 1st, if I don't have the item, I've got to file, the claim with eBay in order to protect my money. And we looked these up or my dad looked these up 4 or 6 weeks ago now, just kind of see what was on there. And there's still people that were pre-selling them. And it's just like, man. And I mean, even the byline of their sell sheet said, if enough of these don't sell, we're not even making them. And it's like, that's going to create a lot of issues. And I would not. We saw, what was it? One of the products today that we're selling for $180. I forget which one it was. It was a pre-sale on Topps, and they're selling for $280 on the secondary market. And it's like, once you get that product, sell it for $100 minus fees and the headaches. It's like, I don't know if it's worth $60 profit. I mean, $60 is $60, but to deal with the headaches of a pre-sale and it gets pushed back and you might have to refund money. And it's like, I don't know, that kind of stuff's not for me. If it's in hand, it's one thing to sell it. But if you're doing too much pre-sales, there's just too much we don't know that are out of control, even Topps and Panini at this point, Upper Deck, to, supply chain issues to where I wouldn't trust anything right now. Definitely would not be buying it, putting my money on the line to sell it on the secondary product market for a small margin. It's not worth it. But next week's releases, we do have 4. One is very interesting. And that's 2022 Panini Prism WWE. It'll be Panini's first WWE release under the new license. We're going to have more on that here in just a moment, and explain why that's news and why it's interesting if you have not heard. Also releasing on April 6th is 21-22 Panini Prism Collegiate Draft Picks Basketball, 2021 Panini Stars and Stripes Baseball. Another interesting release, which we'll have a little more information on a little bit later in the show. And then also 2021 Top Star Wars Masterwork is coming out on April 8th. So the aforementioned Panini Prism WWE is this interesting timing or calculated. Fanatics and WWE. Just real quick, Topps lost the license for WWE late in 2021. The announcement was the license was going to expire and go over to Panini sometime in Q1 of 2022 with no specific date announced at that time. And then, of course, Fanatics takes over Topps. And here we are. So Fanatics and WWE have announced that they are in partnership for the WWE license, which is now in Panini's hands, just began. Next week is the first release. And that license is beginning in 3 years. Panini announced just a few months ago that they had acquired the license and are now producing it. Panini has not yet released the product, but we'll have one coming out next week. The future license acquisition shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone, but the timing is curious, which begs the question, if you are Fanatics and to a lesser degree WWE, what motivation do you have to announce now, today, this week, on the heels of Panini's first release versus waiting another 30 months? What are your guys' thoughts before we get into, my opinion and where I think their motivation lies?
Coach Stefan?
I'll agree with somebody else in the industry who'd said that it's a little odd to see this announcement for the hobby, in that usually these things are announced a month out from when the license is up for renewal, or 3 months, 4 months, the company coming out to say, hey, we've renewed with whomever a year out. However, having said that, Fanatics is gobbling up any license they can, so I'm not surprised at all.
So who was it that you're agreeing with in the hobby?
Brian Gray.
Okay.
Only on that aspect.
No,
and our mutual love for Whataburger.
we're going to talk about what Brian had to say here in a moment. Jeff, if you want to give your thoughts.
Yeah, to me, I don't really consider, like, obviously Fanatics to me is more of a marketing company, similar to, like, they just do incredible marketing. I just think they want to stay relevant. I think they are aggressive. Like you said, like a few weeks ago, it was VFriends. A few weeks after, they announced VFriends 2 is coming out. Now you have, like you said, this WWE license. Like every week or two, they want to be in the news. So you keep on remembering who Fanatics is. Similar to whether it be like memorabilia, whether it be cards, whether it be whatever they're creating, they always want to be in the news, and then they always want to be at the forefront of innovation and the industry, and they're doing that 100% right now. Especially like today, the whole Juan Franco thing, of course, that relates to Fanatics. Like they're just always going to be at the forefront of the industry for the next foreseeable future until somebody puts a stop to that. And at some point, I feel like it's going to be two Goliaths. And we'll talk about that shortly with regards to collectors and Fanatics. But I wouldn't be surprised if they really don't care. They just want to be in the news constantly. Whatever it comes to, they just want to be there.
Yeah, so Brian had tweeted out Monday morning, I'm in disbelief how a licensor can publicly announce a new licensee when they just did a multi-year deal with another licensee. This is beyond screwed up. At least let them get one product out first. Let me preface this by saying I agree with Brian that it is screwed up, and the timing was very curious, and they should have let them at least get the product out, right? Wait 2 weeks. What's it going to hurt waiting 2 weeks? You still got another 34 months. 35
well, not even
months.
so much Panini Topps announcing this / Fanatics announcing this, but WWE shouldn't have even been negotiating at this point. You wouldn't
perhaps think. Not, but here's so when Fanatics announced that they were going to be buying Topps, considering Fanatics' place in the sports collectible and memorabilia marketplace, there was, perhaps, antitrust consideration and whether or not they were violating antitrust law. We are in an oligopoly, so there's very few manufacturers that are producing cards. And as we look at that, you have monopolistic laws to protect the integrity of an industry. This industry is not regulated, so there's no governmental oversight. But it was very curious that the Topps Fanatics merge, or Fanatics takeover, was being considered for antitrust violations on the surface. So a lot of people are predicting that at some point Fanatics is going to buy Panini. I don't see how that possibly at all could happen. Yes, you would still have Upper Deck, and you would have, the peripherals like Leaf and Onyx and Parkhurst and maybe a couple of other ones that are out there kind of making stuff independently. But the problem is, if Fanatics buys Panini, they're going to own too much market share, and I cannot see them getting around antitrust violations. That's going to happen. So if you can't buy them, beat the crap out of them. And I think this is what's happening now. Fanatics in their boardroom is, we're going to have this agreement that maybe the WWE wishes that they would not have went with Panini. And again, I can't speak for them. It's just speculation on my part. So WWE is like, hey, how quick can we get out of this deal? 3 years? Cool. Hey, Topps can have it back in 3 years. We wanted to continue that with them anyway, but at the time we negotiated with Panini, Topps was a sinking ship. Fanatics came in, bought them. Now we want to do business with you. We always wanted to do business with Topps. That was never our idea. They just Fanatics came in with an iron fist. I told Brian in private, after he and I got into it back and forth openly on Twitter, he's like, what got me was when he said, I'm in disbelief how a licensor can publicly announce a new licensee this far in advance. I'm like, Brian, this happens all the time in corporate America. Companies of this size do not care. Nobody is going to not collect WWE cards as a result of this. I mean, I can't see it. That's where you would go. You want to collect trading cards, you're going to buy it regardless of who's making them. Just like when people are like, I'm not going to collect, new cards. Perhaps not new cards, but you're still going to collect Topps cards. I think what this is, and I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I think this is public posturing on behalf of Fanatics and to a lesser degree WWE. They cannot get out of this contract for 3 years. But if they force Panini's hand to file an early termination agreement, an ETA, and just basically say, hey, guys, this is effed up. I don't want to be in business with you, being Panini towards the WWE. I want out of this contract. It very well could be. I think that's what Fanatics play is. Let's embarrass Panini and make Panini say to us, we want out of the contract. Then we can, go our separate ways. And WWE and Topps can get back in bed and start producing cards, hopefully in their case by the end of the year. And that's what I explained to Brian in private after the public conversation he and I had, is I think that's what this is. I think this is public posturing. It's open negotiation. It's Fanatics once again with an iron fist, flexing their muscles in front of Panini because I can't buy you. So let me crush you at every pass. And if Panini says, you know what, we've got this license, we're making cards for 3 years, hey, good for them. It's their license. They're welcome to do so. It's just going to put them in kind of a precarious position. They can't screw WWE because then it ruins the Panini brand or gives them a black eye. They still have to do right by the Panini brand, even in the face of losing this license. And I think that's what's going on.
If I may add, so like you said, like Shane McMahon would say, here comes the money. Vince is very smart in terms of a businessman. Fanatics is very smart. Look what happened to Topps, right? Fanatics embarrassed Topps, and then look what happened. Look like they acquired Topps. Maybe that's Fanatics' plan all along. Maybe they don't even care about Panini. All they care about is the licenses. Maybe they want Panini for like the manufacturing aspect. I feel like Panini has lost a significant amount of like licenses that they probably did not want to lose recently, and they're becoming less and less and less valued or valuable, if you want to call it that. So maybe Fanatics has like a short-term goal of acquiring Panini for the manufacturing capabilities or something to that extent. They'll just take every license that comes their way because they're paying very well as per the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball. Like, what's next?
Well, and that's where the antitrust laws are going to have to come in. I had mentioned to Brian that, I publicly I had said that, Fanatics is going to crush Leaf. And I honestly think that's very realistic. I'm not trying to be antagonistic. I'm not trying to be a jackass. I'm not being an asshole to him. I'm just the tea leaves.
But how are they even comparable? They're not. They're licensed. They're licensed compared to non-licensed.
Well, you have a very segmented and fragmented section of this industry that even collect Leaf, right? Not everybody collects it. But you're going to have basically you're just going to keep pushing them out and pushing them out. It's kind of like, when you diversify, stock options and to the point where, I own so much stock and now I own none of it. It's basically what they're going to do. They're just going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing to the point where what market share Leaf does have gets smaller and smaller and smaller and makes them more and more irrelevant. Trust me, I like Brian. I've had a lot of great conversations with him. I do like his place in this hobby. I would rather see more Brian Grays and less Fanatics. I think healthy competition is good. I do not like oligopolies, but it is what we have. And there are antitrust measures to prevent, these companies, whether it's the auto industry, the beverage industry, there are a lot of them that, there's a finite amount, small group of the boys club, so to speak. And they control entire industries, major industries. And unfortunately, like when you get into the auto industry and stuff like that, we rely on transportation. We have to have it. So these laws need to protect the consumers to the very core. It's a little different here. I tweeted out earlier today that these manufacturers need to be careful. These large companies like PSA, Fanatics, you need to be careful because you guys need us, the collector, more than we need you. It's just cardboard. We don't need this. We can't eat it. We can't drive it. We can't live in it. It means nothing other than the fact that we enjoy collecting this stuff.
It's pretty and looks nice on a shelf.
It does. Just like in the garden, right? The flowers out there, they're pretty.
I can't speak on like Leaf, but I'm pretty sure Brian Gray is probably happy with his market share and his margins because they're non-licensed. His margins are probably pretty good for the small amount of product that he does release for each set. So
well, he
I
does
don't think he's
a lot of aftermarket, buyback stuff too. So he's, how much stuff is he actually producing himself? And I don't know, how cash flow positive he is. There's a lot of variables that we don't know about Leaf and how much, he says he's debt free. I don't know. I have to take that at face value. It's just this should not come to a surprise for him. Is he being, sensational when he says it? Like, oh boy, I'm in disbelief. And it's like, why? This stuff happens all the time. This is called Tuesday on Wall Street. This stuff happens all the time. Companies don't care. Like you said, Jeff, McMahon's smart guy, makes a hell of a lot more money than the three of us combined, right? Smart guy. And he's done it by being a shrewd asshole. And he doesn't care who he crosses. And whether you agree with those tactics or not is not the narrative. He's been successful based on his tactics, like them or not. They're his. And he's not the only one. He may be the most well-known to us. And that's why I got very argumentative with Brian. It's like, on Monday, it's like, hey, this should not come as a surprise to any of us. The world's a lot bigger than this hobby. Maybe this is the first time some of the people in the hobby are seeing it. But corporate America does this every day, all the time. And lawsuits start flying and things get settled out of court. And at the end of the day, the people that want to be, financially married to each other are, at the end of the day, depending on what it costs you, sometimes is irrelevant. And we shouldn't be surprised. But again, we need to look at this through the prism of Fanatics and sitting in that boardroom. And they're like, hey, you know what? We're going to announce this on Monday, March 28th. 3 years in advance. Why? Because they don't want Panini having that license anymore. And they're trying to embarrass them publicly, piss them off, and have Panini back out of that contract with the WWE. So,
I don't see it that way. I just look at Fanatics being an incredible marketing company. Look at them as an incredible marketing company and nothing else. All the additional profits that come their way from merchandise and cards and everything, it just relates strictly to their marketing capabilities.
I don't see it that way, Ben. I see that Fanatics is out there and they're going to win the WWE contract only purely because they also have merchandise. That is something that wasn't a part of the Topps thing that made them go look at Panini in the first place. When Topps gets bought out by Fanatics, it puts a whole new thing on the table that WWE was probably looking for.
No, certainly. But again, why are we announcing 3 years, 36 months in advance? It happens all the time in corporate America. We should not be, as Brian says, in disbelief. This is public posturing by Fanatics to get Panini to back out of this contract with an ETA as soon as possible. They're probably hoping by Q4 of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're doing is they're putting the squeeze on Panini, trying to decrease their market share by acquiring some of the peripheral licenses that are out there. And again, this license would not have changed hands, I guarantee you, if Fanatics had bought Topps sooner.
Mm-hmm.
But Topps is a sinking ship. WWE's not stupid. Hey, Panini's a much bigger company. They've still got licenses, perhaps, and we're going to do business over here because Topps is going out of business. And Topps would have went out of business outside their confectionery side if Fanatics had not bought that company. They would have had to sell off their brand. Fanatics would have ended up with Topps anyway. They would have bought it after market after Topps files for bankruptcy. But I can almost assure you this is exactly what happens because it happens all the time. Fanatics and WWE cannot do anything for 3 years except embarrass Panini and force Panini to say, hey, I'm out. I mean, we're not going to know. But if we have to look at this, WWE wants to be in bed with Fanatics yesterday, Monday the 28th. They just have to wait 3 years. So let's see what we can do. I guarantee you, Ruben and McMahon are sitting there going, we are the bigger company. We can crush these guys. We cannot buy them, but we can definitely crush them. And Panini's kind of stuck. They can't not make the products under contractual law, right? I mean, they breach a contract, then cool. WWE and Fanatics win anyway. Panini has to respect their, and stand by the integrity of the Panini name and their brand. So they're going to do a good job making these cards for the next 3 years. So the WWE still wins. People aren't going to stop collecting these cards. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if more stuff comes out in light. But there is a different topic that we mentioned beforehand. You heard Angela's voice, Stefan's wife. She's a female collector. Welcome. How are you tonight?
Wonderful.
Disorganized Allen and Ginter mini collector.
I'm very disorganized.
So we want to bring this up, and we want to preface it by saying that we will try to stay on the surface of some of these topics. Everybody has an opinion that's familiar with this. Just briefly, there were some shenanigans and some pretty serious ones at what was coined the largest break ever.
Hashtag not shocked.
We do have an Instagram promo for it. Steph, I don't know if you want to bring that up and show it on screen.
Yep. 1 second.
It's whatever in anyone's opinion if this was actually the largest ever. I mean, really, we would have to define what does the word largest mean. Is it most expensive?
I mean, we went to the million card rip party and they didn't open that many cards.
Yeah, are we talking about the most expensive? I mean, because you open up a couple boxes of Transcendent. Really, just let's explain what the break entailed first before we get into the semantics of the discussion. This break took place on Thursday, March 24th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Eastern Time in Las Vegas. It featured Leighton Sports Cards and whoever the hell Blez is. I've never
Blez.
Hey, Jeff, you want to give your opinion on Blez?
Nope, I am not going to give my opinion on Blez.
Okay.
They are great individuals.
Biggest break of all time, according to the Instagram promo, Blez and Leighton Flawless. It featured 25 total cases of Panini Flawless Hobby and first off the line. However, it was not the break itself that caught the attention of the hobby. It was an outcry and offense from the misogynistic crap that Leighton and Blez pulled. Okay. Full disclosure, I have not watched the break. I've seen a few clips and obviously photos and a lot of commentary. If any of the three of you guys actually watched it, please just give like a abstract overview of what happened before we get into the discussion and offer opinions.
I feel like Angela would probably be best to define.
I did not watch it live. I woke up the next morning to a whole bunch of DMs and tags and
so if I'm watching it, I'm expecting to see these two grown men open up 25 cases of Panini Flawless, which is a very expensive product. They were chasing the one of one LeBron Logo Man or something like that. Was that
Triple Logo Man? Yep.
Triple Logo Man.
Card that we're after. Okay.
They did not pull it.
They did not pull
it. So think of it as a normal break, and then sporadically every few minutes when transitioning between cases, you add a UFC event with Ringles.
Yes, that is exactly what happened.
Okay. So we have women who were dressed
being demonetized.
We are going to be taken down by YouTube, guys. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So basically, they were in pants. Based on the pictures, they were in pants, but they were in
yoga pants and bikini tops.
Bikini tops. Okay. And they were there. It's Vegas. It's sensational. It's what it is, right? Yeah. Okay, so they probably thought, and I'm not defending them, but again, let's get into the boardroom. Whoever was putting this thing together, the conceptual idea of like, hey, we're in Vegas and there's showgirls and You know, it's like a UFC match and it's like a boxing match. In between rings, when you hear the ding, 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 and everybody goes to their corner, ladies come out and hold up the card saying, you know, round 2. And this is Vegas. People are used to this. So let's do a Vegas spectacle with what's coined the largest break ever, the world's largest break. I mean, that's kind of the conceptual idea, I would imagine, that Blez and Leighton and whoever else was involved were having, right?
Yeah.
I'm not off base with probably the thought process.
That was
15 cases of 2020-21 flawless hobby and 10 cases of first off the line flawless same year.
Okay, so one more caveat. This was also the Mint Collective had their thing going on this past weekend in Vegas as well. So it was a big sports card, you know, not the national convention, but there was a lot of
it was a big show.
Yeah, a lot of individual trading card show, a lot of stuff going on in Vegas. Conceptually, they probably thought they weren't doing anything wrong. But there were no adults in the room that suggested, hey, wait a minute. This is not, it's male-dominated hobby, but it's not a men's-only hobby, nor is it an adult-only hobby. And maybe if there had been one adult in the room, they would have said, you know what? Conceptually, I get it. Fun idea. But this is not going to go well. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to take offense to this, both male and female, young and old, you know, long-time collectors versus short-term collectors, you know, adults, kids, otherwise people on the peripherals that aren't really involved that are going to get offended by this as well. Maybe it's not a good idea, but no, there wasn't an adult in the room that said that, or if there was, obviously they weren't listened to. This is definitely an idea of conceptual versus execution. Some things are better left on the boardroom floor. So that's kind of where we're at.
The problem is I think that the boardroom didn't exist and multiple people did not talk to each other about exactly what was going to go down how, which is not uncommon in this industry with breakers. Like, this really felt like the beginning of breaking that happened like
2010,
2011. Like, this felt very much the first breakers kind of feel. And it's like, did we not learn anything over the last 10 years here at all? Because
I don't want to speak as a male. I don't want to speak on behalf of women, but I can take a step back and say I can see where, as a woman, this would piss me off. Like, why? We collect cards.
it doesn't piss me off. It disappoints me. And
Okay.
then I just don't do business with these people.
Well, we know that I'm not a big fan of Rich Layton. He highly offended my daughter 10 years ago in one of his chat rooms. In my opinion, he's a piece of shit. I mean, I had interaction with him. He tried to call me. He doubled down on his comments 10 years ago. I just don't think Layton is a good addition and part of our hobby. So setting that aside, I can't see anything that would come from this positively. I blocked DMN Takeover, whatever that guy's name is, on Twitter because one time he was selling cards and marketing them by laying them on the cleavage of his girlfriend, his wife, a friend. You know, she was in a bikini top, a bra, and the cards were sitting on top of her breast. And it's like,
She had a very good bra collection. I'll admit to that.
But my thought is, okay, all I need is a scan of the card, picture of the card that I'm buying. The card is what I'm buying. As an adult, regardless of, male, female, otherwise, as an adult, if we want to see those, there's plenty of websites available to us that we're allowed to go to where we can see a woman in a bikini top. I don't need that personally to cross over into this hobby. It's trading cards. You know, I don't need to see DMN Takeover marketing on top of a woman's cleavage any more than I need to see these two jackasses parading these models. And I don't know, from some of the screenshots I've seen, these women did not, perhaps they were reimbursed for their time, but they didn't look all that thrilled to be doing this that evening.
They apparently were compensated, treated professionally. However, then there's this screenshot where he's kind of creeping on her.
I wonder how it was sold to them. If anybody knows, like, hey, this is what you're going to be doing,
or if it was just
a model deal of some sort. Hey, you're gonna show up here. The whole deal is you're gonna wear this and hand people stuff.
So, Angela, let me ask you a question. Our good friend Susan Lose Your Eye, she had shared a lot of different comments and thoughts that were directed towards her personally.
I did not know that, Tim. That's an interesting point.
I don't believe that, though, to be honest. I believe if you looked at some of the video, they were they're in like a penthouse or something.
Okay, so Tim Seeberger, who actually reached out to me yesterday, he had some thoughts. I asked him to call me last night or today, but we were not able to connect. He said, first of all, what most people didn't realize, this was actually held at Jared Blez's house, which did put Leighton in a real bad position.
Jared Blez is a professional poker player, so it doesn't shock me that he would have something posh in the Las Vegas area. So it could very well be his house, or
his penthouse,
or his penthouse suite, or some sort of like his place.
Angela, I do have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned Susan, and okay, if we took the event for what it is, offense, no offense, I don't want to minimize it or anything, right? Yeah. Everybody is welcome to feel however they felt as a result, whether they were pissed off, upset, offended, disappointed, whatever your feelings are. Again, if you're male, female, if you're old, young, new collector, old collector, just a fly on the wall, somebody that's not affiliated, that this came across your dashboard and you're like, what's going on here? It wasn't that, and again, I don't want to minimize it, but a lot of what happened after the fact, when some women, Sue's included, got vocal about like, hey, come on, seriously. A lot of it was the crap that the women dealt with. And my question to you is going to be here in just a moment, because she shared stuff where like, hey, grow up, get over it, get in the kitchen. I mean, she had some really, really nasty, misogynistic, things directed at her.
Yeah. Welcome to being a woman in a hobby.
And that's my question. Did you have anything, and you don't have to share what was said or by who, do you have anything directed? It
hasn't happened in a very long time for me, mainly because I don't speak out as much anymore. But when I was very vocal back like 2014, 2015, it happened quite a bit. And you know what? It's life. I just deal with it and move on. But Susan's been one of those people that I've looked up to, and we've had lots of talks about how this has happened to us in the past. And it's like, well, and a lot of it has changed, actually. So this really felt like going back to that era of misogynistic kind of views when we really weren't seeing a lot of that lately.
No. So you didn't have anything directed at you in regards to this?
No.
Oh, okay. Because I did see another young lady, and I'm not going to mention her name, that basically had one directed at her. Like, some guy said, why aren't you getting your nails done? This is a guy's hobby. And it's like,
oh, that's like normal, what used to be about early to mid 2010s.
I'm sure it never stopped. For some.
We get very vocal about investing, not investing, collecting this way, not collecting that way. And at the end of the day, we're all here to collect how we want to collect. And sometimes it's fun to see how other people collect and be influenced, or even influence other people and how they collect. And at the end of the day, the hobby is for everyone. Tim did continue saying that Leighton posted on Instagram that this is not how they did business, and the models disappeared. They had to finish 10 cases with the awkwardness, 2 to 3 hours. Blez's entire operation is in Vegas. His post next to the blue curtain after the event shows it was in his house. Here's the thing. We don't have Leighton's cover your ass apology handy, but basically he issued a press release. Sorry, this isn't how I do business. It's like, first off, again, I will try to keep my personal opinions towards Leighton to myself. But if you're in the middle of this break, the beginning of this break, and this is how it's going down, and this is now going to be reflected on your reputation and your brand. If I'm Rich Leighton, I get up and walk out. Hey, listen, we had some ladies here, they need to leave because we don't want to be associated with this. You do it on camera, you do it off camera, whatever. But at the end of the day, you get up and leave. I don't care how this is going, who's got money where, if you've got to take it and wear this one. Get up and stand in front of it. Don't stand behind it or don't say it after the fact. Get up. I'm not associating myself with this. I'm sorry. Would have been the right thing to do because the fact that he sat there and still attached his name to it, he's just as much at fault for anything that happened, the backlash after the fact. But really, beyond just Leighton and Blez, again, it's the nastiness that a lot of male collectors directed towards female collectors.
Anonymously from fresh accounts or 20 followers.
Like you said, though, like I don't want to discredit it or like credit it. And from what I understand, the whole Rich Leighton thing was because Suze blew up Leighton's wife, and then it all escalated really quickly. But again, it's like to some extent what Foul Five Ball said. I don't agree or disagree. I just let it have its face value kind of thing. Let them do what they did. That was Blez, that was Leighton, that was Golden, that was whoever may partake in it. You can I obviously have my own views on each one of those parties, and I deal with them pretty much like non-existent. Maybe so much Golden, but I feel like Golden was more of a sponsor, and that's it. He might not even been involved. That being said, just let it be. Dudes at its face values. Like when I went to like an F1 in Montreal, yeah, there's scantily clad girls. Which we're not talking UFC here. We're talking F1. Do I go up to like Mercedes and say, "What are you doing?" Do I go up to like these promo vendors and say, "What are you doing?" No, it's just that's how they operate the business. So be it. Like if you don't like Blez, don't deal with Blez. If you like
F1 is more popular in Europe, which Europe sexualizes things differently. So that doesn't shock me with scantily clad women at an F1 event.
But even then, if you go to the National, there's a certain auction house that has models that their sole job is to walk around the show floor and hand out pens or flyers.
But again, it really was. This was the conduit to what happened after that. It segmented a lot of misogyny, and it was directed at, "Hey, Angela, go get in the kitchen." It's like, who are you to say that? And again, like you said, Steph, a lot of the people that were saying things. There was one that said something to Suze about, basically get over it, mind your business. And you click on it, and they've got 2 followers and 4 tweets. And it's like, so what did you do? Just create this to troll and be nasty towards her or other females? I mean, that's really the disgusting part. Wasn't so much predicated on the break. It was what happened and what led to, all of the aftershock, that next wave of misogyny that this is uncalled for. I mean, come on, we're all adults. Most of us are adults. There are kids. It's a hobby. We do this for fun. Not everybody's going to get along. That's fine. Yeah, Steph showing a screenshot. Bro, STFU, those blanks, B word, derogatory word used, directed at women. So, bro, STFU, those blank get paid to do that. Okay, good. They got paid. But again, why are you directing, that disgusting comment towards Suze or any other female or any other adult? I mean,
you're just trying to be degrading, as she'd put it, or the outright hostility that I receive that I never talk about. The same B word. Well, let me clarify. Effing B word.
Like I was somewhat like, obviously, again, I'm not even going to speak much on this overall event. I watched an hour of it. I got bored really quickly because it was poorly produced, I found, especially for what was being done. In terms
I think
of
we watched maybe 10 minutes and we're disgusted enough to close out.
Yeah, I gave no face value to like those, let's call them ring girls, if you want to call them that. But there are so many breakers, right? So many people have different options in terms of breaking. You don't like it, move on. But I was surprised that, like, obviously Suze is respectable and respected within the hobby, but like she's a part of Golden, and yet she's criticizing something that her employer was obviously a huge sponsor of. So that kind of like intrigued me.
Because I bet you that wasn't in the contract with Golden.
No, that definitely could be. Like Golden obviously just wants the publicity, which is unfortunate. I'm sure I'd be curious to see what like Ken's stance on that because they didn't make a public announcement or anything like that.
No.
But it's just like if you don't like it, move on. I obviously I respect women. If the girls were happy, great. If some people don't like it, sure, move on. Don't look at UFC. Don't look at this break. Don't look at F1, whatever it may be. But like obviously, whoever said like sex sells. Go look at like whatever, right? So Blez and let's say Leighton, half of Leighton, decided to go this route. It sucks, sure, for some people. I'm just gonna keep on collecting as though nothing happened, really.
Well, and two things to this. One, I couldn't agree more with Tom Scott from YouTube chat. Personally, I feel it's a little offensive, but that break was not part of the hobby I partake in. There are people out there that love this kind of thing. I just move on to the next video. I can move on to the next breaker. Not that they were on my list.
Just don't.
Like
don't
if I was to do something to that caliber, and like with all due respect, obviously I would do it a lot differently. But if I was to do something that caliber, and like halfway through the event, I got like shit on social media, like okay, I guess I deserve it. But I would hope that like in respect for others, I just didn't go off mid event and was like, oh, this is stupid, blah 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 blah. I would hope that like after the event, I can then like release a notice. That'll never happen again, whatever it may be. But I feel like the overall event got shit on so quickly that no one even remembers the event. More so, my whole feed was just criticisms and like obviously people defending like females, which is great. But then like the females, like some of them was like it was just like a 50-50 war on my timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a bad look on the hobby. It was a bad look on male collectors, which do make up a large, significant portion of this hobby. It's just it was a bad look. Let's move on. We brought up Golden. Obviously, there was something else that Ken Golden did this week. A massive break with celebrity Drake. Ken Golden and Drake posted a video of Drake opening a box of 86-87 Fleer seeking some Jordan rookie cards.
They got them.
He pulled 3 of them. Base. 3 stickers, 3 base. So technically he pulled 6 Jordans out of the box. Seeing the reaction, Golden and his interaction with Drake was all kinds of creepy. I mean,
it was weird. I tuned in for about 10 minutes and I was like, I saw him pull one of the Jordans and I was like, this live video is not for me. I'm glad he's enjoying the hobby, but I don't need to watch it. I don't watch a lot of that, to be honest.
Yeah. And first off, I want to thank thank you for hopping on with us. You're welcome to stay with us for the rest of the show, obviously, but I want to thank you for hopping on for that segment specifically. So thank you. Before we move on, I wanted to make sure we said that. Appreciate your insight as a female collector, as Steph's wife, as part of the About the Cards show and family.
Yep.
So people are saying that Drake could get perhaps $1 million plus for at least one of the Jordans, which fuels the fire even more on artificial appreciation values, much like the Gretzky Wagner. Now you're going to have the Drake Jordan, right?
Okay.
I've seen multiple people coining Drake as a quote unquote collector and it being good for the hobby. PSA has already announced that they will be receiving all 6 of the Jordans that were pulled. Again, 3 base, 3 stickers. Let's break this down into separate discussions for a moment. 1, did you guys watch the break and what was your overall opinion? I know, Ange,
I jumped the gun.
I watched a little bit of it. I did have one comment to it. Somebody had said, no, but we've got Drake ripping flawless cases now. And I added, which is funny because his range is usually 15 to 16, not 2021.
Yeah.
A joke on his proclivity to certain age ranges. No, I don't want to straight outright call shenanigans, but it's kind of coincidental that he buys how few packs and just happens to get this many Jordans. I'm not saying shenanigans. I'm saying shenanigans.
If the shoe
having more people join, I like to see, obviously. Having celebrities join is cool in my mind. However, there's some shady shenanigans to it. It's can't put my finger on. I can't prove it, but
Well, the second question was this a publicity stunt?
So let me get in here first before you go on, because Stefan
for it.
already answered 1, 2, and 3. Did I watch the break? Yes. I thought it was actually quite good in terms of transparency, in the sense of like you have Ken Golden there, you have Drake. It was unscripted. Team Canada soccer team came in. Everyone obviously seemed uncomfortable when that happened.
with Drake being a Canadian.
Yeah, exactly. And then Ken Golden's like iPad not working. So you realize like nobody's perfect regardless of how much money you have, which is kind of like relaxing to see. And I thought it was like whatever. And at the same time, don't forget what happened like a few weeks ago was the Mint Collective like disaster that just happened. Golden was attached to it. Maybe he wanted to get into the positive light of the hobby. I think like that shouldn't be forgotten about. So this is good on Ken. This is good on Drake. But go ahead with your number 2.
And not to mention the fact that with everything coming about, it's not like they were opening up Pokemon / G.I. Joe.
Heyo, which we're going to get into again in a little bit.
You're cheating, Stefan.
Remember in the old days when every time Shep would write show notes, I would talk about something way too early because I never read the show notes. The good old days.
Hi, Rich. Other Rich.
So yeah, I mean, whether it was a publicity stunt, Steph kind of touched on that. There was, as Drake was opening a pack, he's thumbing through the cards and he's like handing them to Ken, and Ken's like, "Hey, let me show them off." And he's like, "Yeah, you show them off." Okay, so there were a couple in this one pack that Ken is showing. He's like, "Oh, we don't need to show that one. We don't need to show that one." And Drake pulls a card off and he's like, mentions the player's name, and he's like, "Okay, I know this is a good sign." And somebody off camera is like, "Oh, it is." And Drake says, "Yeah, I read about it today." So it's like, okay, not all of us are going to have the pleasure of opening this box, but to me, it came across as you're not really a collector. You're just doing this as, you got paid a lot of money from Golden, or you bought the box. It just came across to me as shenanigans. Like, this is not real.
I kind of disagree with Stefan's. I think it's a marketing stunt, not a publicity stunt. I think Drake, obviously, the richer get richer, the poorer get poorer. If you have that kind of money, I would open this box because the ROI, grading all this stuff is probably on par or even better exponentially. So I don't think Ken cares from a publicity stunt perspective. Drake is probably just enjoying himself. He probably actually maybe bought the box. They probably broke it down. His team did, and said they realized we can break even, make money. We can get our name out there in the hobby. Ken probably advised him as well. But I wouldn't consider it a publicity stunt per se.
Matter of fact, here's exactly what Ben was talking. Let me share with audio this time. Share, Chrome tab, this one, audio. Okay. Play.
Clark Kellogg.
Oh, that's good. Sign. How do you know that?
I know that.
And he kind of also saw he didn't even care about anything that wasn't like a logo, man.
I know that because I read about it today.
Ooh.
So I don't know.
Really?
I feel like.
Hang on.
I feel like
Gus Williams. The next one.
And
2 cards later, there's the Jordan.
Yeah.
He read about. I appreciate the preparation for opening the box.
But if you're opening that box, even if you don't know what, I don't know.
Clark triggers Jordan. At least he did the prep.
Well, yeah.
And I can appreciate that.
Publicity, otherwise, yeah, of course you want to be prepared. He's an actor. You read a script before you go on camera.
Not all of them do. I mean,
there are
others that would do this and wouldn't do the prep.
So the last question for this particular topic is Drake being a collector, and Drake can be anybody else in his celebrity status. Is it good for the hobby?
So I don't think Drake is a collector. I think he's an investor. I think he has no intentions of just collecting base, low end, whatever it may be. His collection
is an investment.
Yeah.
What he considers.
Yeah, if he's invested in a company and he's going to use himself as a conduit to promote that company, then yeah, it's. I mean, hey, it's brilliant, right?
I don't know if he's invested in Golan. I forget if he is or not. But yeah, like, is it good for the hobby? I think it triggered a lot of people. I think a few people thought it was cool. So I think it evens out. I think it's good for Ken. It could be good for Drake if he's invested in Golan. Great. If not, he might just be having honest fun.
I don't think anybody loses anything in this, other than the fact that it's going to artificially prop up some of that higher end stuff even more and push it further away from some of the budgeted collectors' reach. But only time will tell. Hey, if he wants to be a collector, great. Again, the hobby's open to everybody.
Sometimes things like this start a love for it, and then now we're gonna see him breaking all sorts of stuff.
Perhaps. So time will tell what he is long term, if he's a collector or is, one and done. But if he's either bought into a company or will be buying into a company, why not use yourself as a marketing tool? It's not like people don't know who he is, and he will drag a lot of people along with him into a new company. Whether he's involved or not, he gets into the PSA Nat Turner family. A lot of people will be dragged in more so because Drake is attached, because that's just how that works.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Mint Collective.
Never mind.
We mentioned the Mint Collective. They had their vanity show in Las Vegas this past weekend. I know a lot of people we know and respect were in attendance, but from everything I've seen coming from the quote expert panels, it was a shit show. Collectible CEO Ezra Levine literally said grading gave me a mental structure for pricing. Seriously, dude, not a high school economics class. You're a CEO. Ezra once told me about the PWCC Top 100 index or whatever it is as a Bible-like view of the hobby and the pricing structure. And when I called him on it, he went silent. He was absolutely, when I said, because he was on some podcast and he's like, yeah, the top 100 index. I'm like, hey, buddy, where this top 100? It's PWCC. And when I destroyed the idea behind the index being an artificial view on the hobby and being very restricted to just specific cards, and PWCC is a sham. He was very quick to want to respond the first time, and then he just stopped after I was trying to get into a conversation with him about it. And I'm me, so I get it. I come across as aggressive and very direct.
Good day.
Yeah, he doesn't owe me anything, but the idea being everything I've seen Ezra Levine tweet out about the hobby is very, very naive. And as Colin Teddards with Sports Card Radio, love him, hate him, or otherwise, calls a lot of these people fake CEOs. So GTS offered this diamond of nonsense about the perception of breaking. They asked what can be done about the perception of breaking as gambling, better educating consumers, offering different types of breaks such as teams, packs, etc., including base and non-hits. I was one of the first to respond, but not the only, with the same sentiment. Breaking is gambling. Let's call it what it is. Everybody's like, you can't change the perception about it being gambling when it literally is gambling. It's like going to Budweiser and say, what can we do about changing the perception that Budweiser is beer and has alcohol content?
Is it beer, though?
Well, it's got alcohol content.
It's water.
Does it, though?
It's water. So, let's go with Guinness, okay? How do we change the perception that Guinness
It's molasses.
is beer? It's it's chocolate. It's thick. It's
Whiskey
dark.
is quicker.
But it's gambling. And again, if Fanatics gets this hobby regulated, some breakers are going to have a very, very interesting time moving forward with their current business models. And
Correct, which I believe is good. I think Fanatics wants to cut that out. I think they won't have any issues and need breakers. Some people love them, some people hate them. I just don't think they're a good look for the hobby.
I think Fanatics is the only major company that wants this hobby actually regulated. I think they're pushing for it. And I've had a few people reach out to me that suggest the same. People that are a lot closer to the situation than I am.
I think, like Josh Luba has said time and time again, data is going to be your key to unlocking Fanatics partnership. And if you don't have that, which breakers do not have, that's for sure.
there'll be a lot more transparency if this hobby gets regulated. There'll be a lot more oversight. Therefore, there'll be a lot more reporting, a lot more data available. And I think the people that benefit from that are going to be Fanatics, eBay, ComC, PSA. There will be a lot of companies that will benefit from this being regulated. The people that won't are random Joe Breaker.
Yep.
You know, a lot of them will go out of business.
Unless they learn to adapt.
I don't think a lot of them are structured to where they can, and a lot of it depends on what type of regulation comes in and where the goalposts sit when it comes to them. You know, if it just comes down to IP tracking and more stringent rules on how you report the financial side of things, you know, the Mojo Breaks of the world, they'll exist. You know, the aforementioned Leighton, he'll still be around. It really is the smaller breakers, not even from the perspective of can they, it's will they want to, you know. But I do think,
like Suze asked a question back in her card chat like a week ago about what makes a good breaker. I said there are no good breakers. That being said, like Ken Golden came at me, obviously wanting me to clarify because he and his son break often, and he considers them breakers, which I told him, well, no, I don't consider you guys breakers. With all due respect, love what you guys do, love the time you spend together. But what I consider breakers, which does happen most of the time, is a lot of the breakers, quote breakers, have very minimal involvement within the industry, and they don't usually have storefronts, and therefore have very little overhead. If you are just doing it out of your grandmother's basement, I'm sorry, like you can just like kind of just ragweed off into the distance kind of thing. If you have a storefront, you support the community, you support the hobby, and you have a ton of overhead, great. You can exist. But I still think Fanatics will have their say in the near future.
I think they will gobble up a lot of, you know, I think there will be, you know, about the cards breakers brought to you by Fanatics. I think a lot of them will end up under the Fanatics umbrella at some point. But again, who knows where this is heading. A lot of it depends on if Fanatics is the one making the product and they're the one supplying the product. They're going to be determined who they're sending it to and who they won't. So perhaps not always negative about the show, especially in light of the aforementioned Blez Leighton fiasco. There were quite a few women and young individuals at the show. So maybe we are getting more women and we're getting a little bit more diverse in the hobby, which would be fantastic.
We are.
I would say for sure at the last two Dallas shows, I've seen more kids in tow. I've seen more women and girlfriend, not just tagging along to be tagged along with, but also actively searching through cases and looking and taking photos.
Like, I've been at shows now and I've seen one woman followed by 10 dudes that didn't want to be there, obviously. It was a sight to be seen, man.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, you know, more diversification is better. You know, no matter what your background is, your creed, your gender, et cetera, political affiliation, you know, your religion. Just make sure if you're putting, 87 Fleer, goes alphabetically in a binder. I mean, as long as that we can all agree on, you're welcome in the hobby.
It looks like
Shep.
No.
At least the link that you provided, both of them picked up a Walt Disney. I'm going to assume that those are reprints.
Is that a Pikachu sticker?
But as well, two different Pikachu stickers from the early ages.
Love seeing a dad with his kids. Love seeing, nothing bad about that picture at all.
No.
Awesome. A little girl, maybe 8. A little boy, maybe 6, 7-ish at most.
Nice going, honey.
Yeah, good family picture. It's a good hobby picture. So glad to see that. And like you said, if you guys are seeing more at the Dallas card show, it's awesome. I mean, it should be opened up for everybody. There's a place in this hobby for everybody, regardless of how you choose to collect and be a part of it. And it's awesome when we start seeing the younger collectors, because we're not going to exist forever. And, it needs to be passed along so that the hobby can exceed and succeed and scale and grow 50 years from now. Because the majority of us collecting right now will not see 50 years from now. Yeah, some of us will. Most
Speak
of us
for
won't.
yourself, old man.
Well, there's a lot of us that are in that 40 plus age range that might not see, our 80th, 90th birthday.
For the first time in quite a while, this might be the first time the show has been actually anchored by people under 40 than over.
You know
True.
what?
I'm
So
not wrong. Jeff, how old are you again?
35.
I was going to say, you're not too much older than I am.
So overall, did this collective group of experts and this show have any lasting impact on the hobby, in your opinion? I mean, in mine, it was a vanity show.
I would like to say that it probably brings more exposure to the current collecting base.
Yeah.
Good, bad, what have you, but at least it's bringing eyes to the hobby.
Yeah, I think I heard good things. I heard bad things. I heard indifferent. I think it's just people wanting to, or companies, I guess, because this was more or less under collectible. I think companies are trying to be the next like Western national. So who's gonna do that? Who knows? But it was fine. It is what it is. I think it got a lot of
It was
hype.
a high-end show.
And I
all it
mean,
was.
for decades, we've been talking about how do we get more kids interested in the hobby. Well, apparently, it's have really famous people rip.
That being said, I would like to say $700 for a ticket, and on the Millionaires podcast or the Millionaires discussion, there's that Luca co-host. No, sir, thank you.
Not for Jeffrey Szelzki.
I guess I missed an email. So, Collectible, hit me up.
So Jeff had a late addition to the show notes right before the show. I had not seen this. Steph had not seen this. Fanatics is bringing on an Adidas exec and GM of Kanye West's whatever, named John
Easy. The easy shoe.
So I guess they're now a DDAC. All they dream about cards.
You got the wrong link, Stefan. But yeah, obviously, I feel like this is like a Josh Luba thing. Yeah. This is obviously a Josh Luba thing. He's probably very familiar with who this is. Josh Luba is incredibly intelligent. He has a vision. If this guy can make Yeezy what it is or what it was, whatever it may be, and scale it accordingly, this guy will probably do wonders for the industry and to help Luba and Ruben kind of scale accordingly. I just think that what's their brand that's Zero Cool or whatever they're calling it. Obviously it's gonna go. They introduced Jackass cards at the Mint Collective. So there's like V Friends, Jackass, V Friends 2.
What is this? 2005?
And like they're doing a collab with that like shoe that you just saw up in the thing. So they're gonna collab to like. Obviously, they want to get into the sneaker game to grab the high-end sneaker game kids because there's so many young kids in the sneaker game that have so much money and liquidity that they want them to come into the sports card market, or at least understand that if you hit up these high-end or wanted, desired shoes, you can also get a card that's probably worth a pretty dime. So I think obviously Luba's doing good things for the hobby, and it'll be interesting to see what this guy can bring.
Quote unquote, it's now the executive director at Fanatics Collectibles, where we'll be focusing on, and I quote, collaborations and partnership within the culture business. Buzzword, buzzword, buzzword. Trying to bring exposure to Fanatics. Got it.
So I think Luber is very green and wet behind the ears when it comes to the hobby, and he illustrated that at length in his manifesto. How detached he is from the overall hobby, highlighting just the high-end stuff. Where I think Luber has an opportunity to really succeed, the old saying goes, and something I subscribe to, I believe wholeheartedly, is the president of the United States does not have to be the smartest person in the room. That person, whoever the president is at the time, needs to be smart enough to hire experts who are the smartest person in their respective field. So if Luber is targeting the high-end shoe people, yeah, this is a great hire. And I think that Luber himself has a lot to learn. And with the money behind Fanatics, Ruben's comfortable putting him in that position. So he'll have plenty of time to learn on the job. I think right now he's very green, but bringing in people who share your vision that are targeted, this guy's probably not going to be designing, 2023 Series 1 tops.
No.
Correct. But that being said, with all due respect, like if we have people like Luba in the hobby who did what he did with StockX, I'm sure Ruben, like you said, Ruben came to Josh and was like, hey, if you can make StockX and pivot that into the sports card market and use whatever you did to scale StockX with and bring on board an incredible team similar to like an NFL team, like you have so many positions that need to be covered, like go ahead, do as you wish. And if this guy, obviously, he scaled a shoe from like nothing to like gold practically. And if they could do that for any of their products, like you never even heard of VFriends, and look at what VFriends is doing, right? Obviously, that's Gary Vaynerchuk from afar, but like they need more Gary Vaynerchuks. So if you can do this, and like I'm sure this is only the beginning, but their team is going to be incredibly talented, and it's going to be very scary to see if anybody can compete with their like marketing and their vision.
I'm super excited for Zero Cool as a non-sport collector, just because it's something new and fresh that'll bring eyes to the older stuff eventually. Because what they do is they get hooked on the new stuff, and then they go, "What else is out there that I need in my collection now?" And you can just look back and
Batman, Beatles.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of this stuff out there that no one knows exists that everyone thinks is worth nothing, and something like this will bring those values up because more people will be looking for that 1993 Lion King set
or G.I. Joe.
And I'm excited for that. So I can totally back Zero Cool.
No, I think it's kind of a dumb name, and if they got it from hackers, props. Terrible movie. Kind of fun plot.
It was a terrible movie, but you know what? I'm okay with this.
So we do have about another 7 or 8 topics I want to get to before the end of the show. So we can't dissect all of these at great length. Some of them don't need to be. But we do have a few other things I wanted to get to that came up this week in the hobby. Former hobby influencer Mario Alejandro, formerly known as Wax Heaven, did write a blog article on his new website. He's an old school blogger, perhaps what you might say is an early days internet hobby influencer. He wrote a blog last week that was not very favorable to some of today's better known influencers, singling out Ivan Lovegren and Eric Norton. If you read through the blog, and again, these are Mario's opinions, he's very opinionated, very biased towards certain things. If you like me, if you like Colin Teddards, Mario Alejandro, we're all kind of cut from the same cloth. We're not for everybody. He did basically say in his blog that Eric Norton hates collectors, which is not the first time we've seen this pinned on Eric's back. A former co-host of our show also said the same thing. Mario claims that Ivan toes the line of being too nice in the face of not wanting to piss anybody off. I don't know if you guys read the blog and what your thoughts are. Ivan does very toe the line. I mean, I like Ivan. He's a nice guy. Consider him a friend. Mario's not wrong on that one. Did you guys happen to read through the blog and kind of see where Mario's at?
But having one of the bigger platforms with the show that GTS runs, I can understand why he wouldn't want to toe the line as much. Why he would rather toe the line as much. However, that's why we do what we do. I can equally have a conversation with some exec at Panini, tell them that I love products X, Y, and Z, and when products A, B, and C come out later that fall, trash them because they're not good products.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to offer too much opinion on this. I like Eric. I like Ivan. I like Mario. Sure. I don't want to offer any, if you haven't read the blog and that is something you would like to do, you can go check it out. Currently
the second post on his website.
What's the
completist.wordpress.com?
Yeah, he's again an old school blogger. Most people that have been around for a while probably know who he is and are familiar with him. It can come across a little bit preachy and a little bit like almost like his feelings are hurt. Maybe he has, a beef with certain people. But it's interesting insight. I retweeted it and basically interesting read, if nothing else, to see kind of his opinions. So another not so popular person, we just mentioned his brother, Ryan Teddards at Sports Card News, had a doozy. PWCC sold a Kobe Bryant card. No big deal, right? Well, it was for a customer called Card Kahuna, and it was allegedly trimmed. So who is Card Kahuna? Well, he was the seller of the fake Pokemon case that Logan Paul bought. And it gets better from here. According to Rattle Pokemon, the card in question used to be owned by, wait for it, Mark's Cards. Apparently, PSA has examined the card at least 4 separate times and each time determined that the card was trimmed. Good for them. You literally can't make this shit up. PWC is such a cesspool. I have no idea how they're still in business and who's doing business with them at this point. And then Ezra Levine goes out and says, oh, look at their Index 100. They're a great company. As Ryan's brother Colin says, cut it out with these fake CEOs like Ezra.
Ignore the floor mess. The collection is currently in a transitional state. However, as Angela just pointed out, with her next to me, where the 2 boys couldn't leave our side. Nobody else in the house currently, and they apparently wanted attention.
Hey, they wanted to be a part of the show. So yeah, interesting how this stuff happens. You get a card owned by Mark's Cards. Now it's owned by Card Kahuna, who, alongside Baseball Card, ends up selling this fake Pokemon case. It's like now they're attached to PWC. It's like these people all swim in the same cesspool together, probably wearing the same bathing suit at the same time.
And pretty sure we've seen Mealy Pops at the Dallas show, who is somewhere in that line of chain.
Whoa.
I'm not saying they're good, bad, or otherwise. Just saying that we've seen them at the Dallas show, and I thought their name was attached to this case.
And they've done everything. They've paid back Shine, from what I understand.
So yeah, take that for what it is. It's just kind of interesting. You start reading through the Sports Card News comments, and it's like, seriously. It's like everybody's attached to each other, and it's like, good Lord. A couple of quick, what in the world is eBay doing? The first one came via M&T Trading. One of the biggest no-nos we all know in conducting eBay business is you don't do it outside of eBay. You don't take your business off the platform, which would cut eBay out of the process. That is against their terms and service. All of us should be familiar with that. Having said that, M&T was forced to refund a buyer for USPS delays. Okay? If I'm M&T, I give my money. Jeff comes to me and says, hey, USPS has it delayed. Give me some money back. So I give it to him. Then the card goes to Jeff. So M&T reaches out to eBay and says, hey, I gave him the money back. Ben gave the money back to Jeff. And eBay's like, sorry. eBay literally told him in his line in this thread that he tweeted, says, if you want your money back from the buyer, then you need to go outside of eBay and deal with the buyer directly. This literally cannot be serious.
So
somebody at eBay said that.
The key line that I think a few are missing is this very bottom one. As the claim is already closed, so in this case, it means the transaction is completed on our end, so we will not be able to generate one more payment link for the buyer. So in this case, you can receive the payment outside of eBay. So in other words, they had a case against the guy. Somehow, for some reason, it got closed, and eBay's answer is for him to go off eBay to try to get his money back. Now, I had a similar case to this where I bought a electronical part. Let me see. Start the camera. This little piece on the side of my mouse came loose, and I had to buy a new one. Contacted eBay about it, and they said, well, since the case is closed, why don't you try to sell it yourself to recoup your costs?
eBay doesn't care. I don't want to get into this other one. It's about the eBay collectible stuff. It's just eBay's doing so many things, spreading themselves so thin. Again, somebody needs to be the adult in eBay's boardroom and basically say, hey, there's a lot of good ideas conceptually, but execution wise, I mean, the eBay Vault, the collectible where you're cataloging now, is they're trying to creep in on ComC's market share. Now trading card database is designed. It's just stop.
This would be like a slap in the way of my slabs, I would think, where you can now upload, manage, and track the value of what you own, buy, and want all on eBay. Now, this is not to say that you're sending it to eBay or listing it on eBay, just that will be your checklist.
Yeah,
I just think there's a cheap option for them to do that and implement it. And they just want to kind of cater to more people.
They want raw data, and you're giving it to them.
It's what they want.
That's all it is. It's raw data that you're providing to them. Apparently, they're already cataloging your purchases that you're buying right now. So basically, all you're going to do is say, "Oh, I already have such and such," which I either bought off of eBay or otherwise prior to this being it. Anyway, now we've gotten into it, so we can move on. Panini will be losing WWE, as we talked about, but they did extend their USA Baseball license agreement. The press release did not say for how long, but Panini has held the license since 2012. The funniest thing was Panini calling themselves, in their press release, the world's largest sports and entertainment collectibles company.
Well, they were.
Fanatics, Panini.
I do like this product generally. Usually it's pretty cheap. Sometimes you can get guys 6-8 years before they make a draft or a college release. But it is what it is. It's not an actual product to go chase. It's something to buy and then set on a shelf for 6 years. And then see, hey, did that guy that was in the 12U national team actually stay healthy through high school to get drafted?
It's kind of like the product you buy right before Elite Extra Edition.
Yeah, I would say that.
You buy that
right. You kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, you buy E right before you buy Bowman. And you buy Bowman right before you buy Series 1. So it's kind of the stairs.
I wonder if they're related to Andrew Jones.
Oh, dumb. So real quick, we'll share some poll results that the aforementioned Suze had put out. She asked what the biggest news in the hobby from the last week was. The 4 options were the world's largest break, Drake and Golden, the Mint Collective, or the WWE Fanatics / Panini announcements. So, Steph, do you have the poll results?
I do. They're pulling up now. Come on. Okay, bippity boppity.
Show me the soppity.
I don't think Ben's video previously combusted. I think it's your computer today, Stefan.
I think it's something like that. What is the biggest news in the hobby from the past week? Leighton / Blez break, which was mine. Mint Collective, Ken Golden / Drake break. WWE headed back to tops, going north to south, 33.8, 15% for Mint Collective, 34.2, and the highest vote for the Drake break, and 17% WWE headed back to tops / Fanatics.
So see, this was kind of divided into like 70% drama or marketing, if you want to call it that. 70% marketing, 30% business.
So yeah, it is interesting that the Golden Drake and the world's largest break were almost identical in their votes, as were Mint and WWE and the Panini license, also being close.
Remember, it's funny how much the staff likes to complain that the Mint Collective, where you can speak to tops, fanatics, etc., heads of every grading company, pretty much got any answered question you wanted and got tons of insight, is in last place. Yeah, but really, is it though? I mean, it's not like it's the national. The Mint Collective kind of had an air of the industry summit, but not quite.
You don't get any transparency. You get to ask tops questions, and then they're just going to give you the generic ham pre-written
answer.
Stop. Sometimes Ivan plays right into what Mario Alejandro says.
Like, I get what he wanted to say, but it's not really an event for everyone.
Just a real quick update. This one kind of cracked me up. This was Flores versus Upper Deck and came via Paul Lesko. This is the lawsuit where Upper Deck sued Flores for selling a knockoff Upper Deck Jordan card, which was graded by GMA as a facsimile reprint. Flores basically threw GMA under the bus, saying he too should be a party in the lawsuit since he graded it, he being Alan Carpooch. The suit coins Flores as an avid collector, yet is claiming naivete to the fact that he bought and then submitted a counterfeit Jordan auto. Flores probably used GMA due to the fact that they have some of the lowest standards in the grading community. Flores further blamed GMA for not telling him his reprint could not be resold, leading to the lawsuit by Upper Deck. So basically, Flores is arguing, why are you suing me and not GMA? Yeah, I screwed up, but they screwed up more. Paul finished his lengthy thread, which I highly encourage you to read. His final thought was the complaint finally concludes with one of the best pieces of evidence to support his claim, the fact that GMA announced they would no longer grade facsimile reprints, which really, why the fuck did GMA grade them in the first place? Because
there's really no reason for them to have been doing this. I hate that they have. It's been a case of dumb arguments. And on my last point, he actually is the son of Andrew Jones.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, go read that if you are interested in hobby related lawsuits. That one is kind of funny because it really is, a kid who got his hand in the cookie jar, but his brother ate the cookies too. So no way am I going down without my brother going down. We're both guilty. I mean, Flores is literally saying, I'm guilty. This dude just more guilty. So he should be sued too. Someone on the Sports Card Nonsense Facebook page shared some data that came via GemRate the week of March 14th. PSA graded within a month window, I believe is where the data is coming from. 241,000 cards, up 37% over the previous month. SGC graded 23,000, up 7%. SCG, CSG, whatever, graded 20,000, up 83%. BGS graded 15,000, down 23%. So shows us how big of a company PSA really is versus their direct competition. Second off, it also shows how inaccurate PSA has to be based on their volume.
Well, so it is interesting to see that one, apparently there's some changes coming about to the from some of the grading companies that we've heard of, but two, given their time frames for turnaround, it's interesting to see that everyone seems to be going for SGC to try to get their cards turned around faster. So maybe there are more vintage people submitting to try to get the nice black background that pops for vintage cards. Be interested to see what cards they take in. I mean, I know Pokemon is a huge submitter at the moment. Few others.
Yeah, just kind of interesting to see the numbers and really see that the other three companies are roughly around 60,000, and PSA is 4 times as big next to their 3 biggest competitors combined. Based on those numbers, again, if they are accurate, shows you just how big PSA is. So,
yeah, BHS is definitely struggling, but Fanatics would be a great partner. Bang bang.
So just before we get out of here, gentleman and lady, this came across my timeline today and yesterday in regards to UK for United Kingdom, I presume. UK box breakers has apparently had a slew of reports of credit card fraud. People are finding the money has been fraudulently taken from their accounts and being used at a variety of online retailers, including Nike, Adidas, Internet Fusion, and plenty more. If you've done business with UK box breaks, I'd go check your accounts immediately for potential fraud. Now, we do have limited information, and we don't want to suggest any shenanigans on behalf of UK box breaks.
But I'm seeing at least 3 reports. One that that initially brought to your attention. Somebody replying, I had £12,000 go missing from my account about 6 weeks ago. Coincidentally, I'd also used UKBB for the first time. Anyone who feels they've been a victim, and I've had unrecognizable transactions to either ASOS, Nike, Adidas, Argos, Trapstar, Internet Fusion, give me a shout. And then someone on the Twitter replies, I had £2,500 taken out of my account, used at IKEA in February. I had to cancel my card. It's all making sense now.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe their website has a bug in it that's tracking credit card numbers or what have you, or if their website is just illegitimate, but buyer beware.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we just preface this by saying that they could be involved. Could just be a coincidence. It apparently happened, like Steph said, to multiple customers across weeks of breaks. Not like it was isolated to one, weekend where maybe they got hacked, and so it just affected people that bought within a certain window. It's not isolated to a one-time issue. Someone has access to sensitive financial information over a lengthy period of time. So just proceed with caution. Do your due diligence on the back end. If you have done business with them, I had never heard of them before. Again, we don't want to suggest shenanigans we don't know. But at the same time, buyer beware. Just be careful and make sure you're checking your financial statements. You should be doing that regularly. I'm not here to be the daddy police on your financial.
But he has a not spreadsheet that he checks daily. So
I do. I keep a spreadsheet ledger of my finances and check my credit cards. But hey, we've all had it happen to us where somebody gets a hold of something, starts. I've had to shut down my wife's ATM a month ago due to some fraudulent stuff, and it happens. Just be careful. It's just very curious that there are multiple individuals reporting fraud after having used this for the first time in one case. So just be careful. Can't say that enough.
And hopefully you have a good enough bank to cover you in case something like this happens.
Yeah, most banks and credit card institutions will give you a provisional credit while they do the investigation, but you want to catch that early enough because after a certain period of time, they won't do that anymore. And it's like, all right, you should have caught that a long time ago. So that's what we have for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Addressing some comments. A surfer who keeps popping up every few episodes. Great Pro, hope you had a great one. Hope you did as well. Otani is said to be getting paid. Tio Albert is back with St. Louis, which I absolutely love. Have a post coming up this Friday about For the Work Counts. O'Neill Cruz is probably service time manipulation. Shady Pirates. And Jeffrey, I thought you said you were going to own Ben. Where is this?
I was being nice, okay? I don't want to destroy too many people's. I'm the victory. I'm the victor here, okay? That's why I got my crown.
Yeah, but with where it sits on your hair and the bend in the crown, it actually
like that better. There you go.
Yeah, it almost looked like you were wearing like a Minnie Mouse bow.
I thought it was
My
going
brain's
for like
too
a
big.
Biggie Smalls effect.
My brain is too big, and I was always told whoever blocks somebody first is the weaker person.
I feel bad for your mom if she gave natural birth. The size of that cantaloupe, dude.
Wow, guys! Wow.
It's the brain.
Just because you have a big cranium doesn't mean the brain's big.
Size 18 feet. Do you know what they say?
Damn, he has big feet. That's one of Will Smith's greatest lines from The Fresh Prince. Anyway, we do have Alex Visioni coming on with us next week. Jared Kelly, Tops Living Artist, coming on with us on the 13th of April. Perhaps another guest we're channeling on episode 198, 199 on April 20th. Should be Kyle with Collector Caps, and then episode 200 on April 27th. We'll have a special guest, and stay tuned for more special announcements.
Who knows?
So yeah, hey, make sure you
said that.
Yeah, we want to thank Ange and Jeff for hopping on tonight. Remember, we're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and review.
10 Central.
All show. What's 10 Central? Is that like a different time zone or something?
Duh.
It is 11 Eastern.
11 Eastern
Szelzki over there.
And don't forget, Stefan, tomorrow you're going to Pound Town because the Penguins are taking down the Wild.
Are they though?
Are they though?
You said the Avalanche were going to defeat us, and that's right.
That didn't happen.
A lot of smack talk in the last 2
And
minutes.
you kind of lost your star player. I figured that was a worthy non-goonery fight.
Okay, relax there, okay?
All right.
Spend your $500 on Premier.
You can follow Steph at Junkwax Twins. You can follow me at Our Trading Cards. Angela, where can we find you?
Another __ castle.
And then you can follow Szelzki at his last name if you can figure out how the hell to spell it.
Yeah, you need to repeat that. That's what, 2 Q's, 2 Z's, 2 X's.
Basically,
What the hell
take
is
a
that?
board, dump it upside down, grab 8 random letters, and just make sure the S is at the beginning, and you're close enough. Twitter will be like, "Oh yeah, that guy."
Have a good night, guys.
Keep collecting. We love everybody out there. Enjoy April Fools this weekend. Don't fall for anything stupid on Friday, like the fact that Jeff thinks he's smarter than me.
See you guys next week.